Man, I'm tired watching that. Haven't watched that game. So this is going to be a bit of a strange post game here. Yes, the Knicks did play a game tonight, and yes, they lost that game. But we're going to talk about what actually happened in the game. But it's been a huge day here. It's been a draining day if you've been a part of it since the morning. And I have to, before I say anything else, I have to give a shout out to all of the Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers, because I started a chat in the Substack chat this morning. It is up to almost 1,750 replies. I have a funny feeling we're going to get to 2,000 before the end of the day or before midnight. So shout out to those guys who have been keeping that alive and kicking since, again, in the AM. What a day, what a night, what a game, honestly. What else is there to say about the toughness and the grit and the fight and the just complete lack of quit that this group continues to show? It's not always perfect. The last game against the Memphis Grizzlies, like the Grizzlies were the one that had that it was they don't think it's a damn show. They think it's a damn fight. Well, tonight the shoe was on the other foot. And like I know whatever the final score was, 118 to 1 or 122 to 108. So whatever, 14-point final margin of victory. Like if you watch this game, first of all, it was a single-digit game, 8-point game with under 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Despite the fact that you had a Mavs team that, I know that they were a little bit undermanned, but they still had Luka Doncic and they still had Kyrie Irving. And as far as I'm concerned, it took every bit of Luka's usual magic, and he is a magician. There's no two ways about that. There's nobody else in the league who could quite do what he does. But it took every ounce of that Luka magic to put the Knicks down. I mean, as we were there in the fourth quarter, and it was Luka Doncic and Josh Hart going back and forth with dueling three-pointers, I was like, what is this? But seriously, like Luka needed to come up absolutely huge. Doncic, he played 40 minutes in this game. Think about that. And I know he plays 40 minutes a lot. I know playing entire second halves is like the norm, or is not abnormal for him at the very least. But I would bet that if Jason Kidd had his druthers, he probably would not have wanted to play Luka for as many minutes as he did tonight, and yet he had to. Because if he didn't play Luka Doncic all those minutes, the Knicks might have stole this game. That's how close it was. That's how competitive the Knicks were. That's how competitive this team is. To talk about the game for a moment, which again, I don't know how much we need to dive into other than to say phenomenal effort by all the guys, and thank the good Lord that there are reinforcements on the way. But what are we supposed to do with this DiVincenzo thing at this point? Because 36 points tonight, took a dozen attempts from behind the arc, made 7 of them, chipped in 3 assists as well. Like he was their primary shot creator. And typically speaking, when a guy, the classic corollary or the classic example of what I'm about to say, whereas when you give a guy a lot more usage and you make him the main focus as opposed to the second or third or fourth focus, which is what Dante DiVincenzo is when he's usually on the floor with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and he's either him or OG Anunoby. Like when you move a guy up to the first focus of the opposing defense, they're not supposed to get better. Look at Jordan Poole. That's the example that I'm going to go to. Look at what Jordan Poole has done this year in Washington, where before the year, people took what he did in Golden State, ironically, when he was a teammate of Dante DiVincenzo last year, and we're like, oh, he's going to lead the league in scoring now. And because fallen completely flat on his face. Now, look, DiVincenzo hasn't had to do this all year. So, yes, let's keep it in context. But like what this guy's doing with an increased offensive responsibility, where he was the second offensive option alongside Jalen Brunson for the all the games since Julius Randle and OG Anunoby went out, and tonight he was the first. And for him to do what he did, look, I know the conversation, part of the conversation about this trade is, yes, they replaced Evan Fournier with some more continuous soup, some better tasting continuous soup, and they didn't give away any, or they didn't trade away any first round draft picks today. Haven't traded away any first round draft picks all year, and so those are right there for them. And like, yeah, there's another move coming, and maybe beggars can't be choosers. I said it a little bit recently on another post game, and I'll say it again. They better think long and hard before they replace Dante DiVincenzo in this starting lineup. And I'm talking about with anyone, because show me the top-notch NBA offense that does not have an absolute dead-eye shooter somewhere in there. And if you could combine two dead-eye shooters, which I think Jalen Brunson, it's a different kind of shooting gravity than DiVincenzo, but two dead-eye shooters in different ways. And you can combine those guys in the same backcourt, and DiVincenzo gives you a little defense, a little bit more than a little defense, and is just so eminently comfortable playing off the ball, but quite clearly is also fairly comfortable playing on the ball. Like, you know, I don't know, man. I'm kind of at a loss because he's just come in and blown away every conceivable expectation, and I thought tonight was really cool for him to put that on display, full display for a national audience. He's the star of the game, the big takeaway of the game for sure. You know, went toe to toe to Luka Doncic. I mean, what else is there to say? As for other players, I mean, I obviously down to 8 players going into the game, 8 healthy players, and then after halftime down to 7 healthy players. And even that was deceiving because one of those players was Jacob Toppin, who pretty apparent tonight that Tom Thibodeau did not feel was ready to contribute to winning, as it were. So for all intents and purposes, in the second half of this game, the Knicks played with 6 guys. And played with like 6, 7.5 guys in the first half. But yeah, 6 guys more or less in the second half of this game. And yet the Knicks were basically even with the Mavs until the final 2 minutes and change, playing with 6 guys. And let me, to refresh anybody's recollection who may need it, those 6 guys, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, shout out to him, 20-point triple-double, did not have the best game. There were some frustrating Josh Hart moments. I've said it on the live stream. I'll say it again now. There's no one in the world, there's no one in the universe who's happier with this trade today than Josh Hart, because Josh Hart needs a breather. And I'm not about to sit here and get on Josh Hart for some of the, not so great moments tonight. Most of them happened in the early on in the game. Thought he got better as the game went on. Had that little spurt to start the third quarter. Obviously, he was hitting those threes in the fourth quarter. But like, Josh Hart is overextended. So whatever criticism you want to levy at Josh Hart for what he doesn't do or what he doesn't, do well enough, like, the dude is beyond overextended. So really nice game from Josh Hart. So it was DiVincenzo, Hart, Deuce McBride, who took a career high 20 shots tonight. DiVincenzo tied his career high with 26 shots. Some really nice moments from Deuce. Obviously, he had the dunk. That was awesome. And you would have loved to see him go more than 1 of 8 from 3. And if he does make a few more of those threes, I mean, who the hell knows? Maybe we're talking about a different result tonight. And then Precious Achiuwa. And those guys played 43, 39, 45 minutes for McBride and 41 for Precious Achiuwa. I didn't know if Achiuwa or McBride was going to come out in the second half. And I actually don't believe McBride came out in the second half. So all those guys at 40 or 39 minutes or above. And then Hartenstein only played the first half, 15 minutes of the first half. And then off the bench in the second half, Taj. You think Taj thought he was going to be running up and down the court for 22 minutes in a game against the freaking Mavs when he signed his second 10-day contract? Or not his second, because it was a different kind of contract when they signed him earlier this year. But when they signed him to a 10-day a little while ago, I don't think so. Maybe the funniest moment of the night was Stan Van Gundy looking at Taj try to get up and down the court. And what the hell did he say? Taj Gibson is absolutely exhausted out there. You don't say. You don't say. So big time effort from Taj. And then Charlie Brown Jr., who, look, he only made one shot. He made the 1-3. I don't know. I thought he looked more or less like an NBA player out there. That's a moment. It's a nice little audition for Charlie Brown Jr. So good job by him. So all of that, I think, I don't know what else there is to say about the game itself, but I'm happy to take any comments. Just, I mean, couldn't be prouder of the team. If you're anything other than proud to be a Knicks fan tonight, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So that's that. The OG injury, I did a little thing and put that out. We put that out on our social channels and whatever. It's on the YouTube a little while before the game. Obviously, there's a part of it that's definitely unfortunate, and yet you look at it in the context of what they did today with OG apparently going to try to resume basketball activities in 3 weeks. So this is like extraordinarily minimal surgery. And you look at like the downside versus the upside. I get it's weird to say upside and surgery in the same sentence, but like it seems like they got this taken care of and it's not going to be a problem anymore. And now whenever he gets back on the court, he's going to be good to go. Whereas the alternative approach, which is you manage it as best as you can until the off season when he would have gotten surgery. You don't have to worry about that now. It's done. It's taken care of. So hopefully when he comes back, he doesn't feel any ill effects. I don't think he will. And it's just going to be a matter of, getting him back into the fold, getting him ramped up, getting him used to his new teammates. I'm sure going to be some gelling to go on again. So I'm not, and it was nice to just have some finality. I mean, the day-to-day into like being ruled out a day before and now it's nice to have some clarity and finality on that. And again, it can't be said enough. We talked about it a lot earlier, but just really drives the point home. They needed to make a trade today. And then I'm sure that's, going to be a big topic of the evening for anybody who maybe was actually at work today. God bless you. Who didn't get a chance to chime in on the trade earlier. Long story short, I'm a massive fan of it. I'm a massive fan of it from just about every angle. I'm not going to sit here and be like, there's absolutely no downside to this trade. I mean, you're acquiring two older players for sure. You're giving up your, a much younger player, a guy who still has some upside. And yeah, I mean, but no trade's ever perfect, because if a trade was perfect, like the other team would make it. Like the other team has to get something out of it, and Detroit's getting to take a flyer on Quentin Grimes, and they're also going to save themselves some money because, unlike the Knicks, who want to have the continuous soup available to them, the Detroit Pistons are going to accumulate all of this cap space to do what exactly? I haven't the foggiest idea. But the fact that they will be able to exercise their team option and send Fournier on his merry way is a benefit to them. So they got stuff out of it, but the Knicks got two guys who, I mean, I'd be utterly shocked if Burks and Bogdanovich don't play 30 minutes on Saturday night each, not total, each. And they're going to be good for the rest of the regular season for this team. They're going to be versatile. You could start them. You could bring them off the bench. You could play them as, your two primary offensive creators on a bench unit. You could play them off the ball alongside Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Like there is no limit to what you could do with these guys. They give you a puncher's chance. With this addition, the Knicks have a real puncher's chance in the East now. Maybe more. Actually, that's not even fair to say. They had a puncher's chance probably, maybe before this trade. Now it's more than a puncher's chance. Now it's like, if they're healthy going into the playoffs, if they are fully healthy going into the playoffs, A, no one's going to want to play this team, and B, that like they have what it takes, like they really have what it takes to beat anybody. And I think that includes Boston. Not saying they'd be favored, not saying they should be favored, They should not. Boston is a different animal. But there's no. I don't see. It's just me. I don't see a glaring weakness on this team. And now that they have made this move. And so, you know what? We'll see. And as it ultimately is going to come down to Jalen Brunson, because everything always comes down to him because he's their guy. So they need to get him back on the floor. I hope to God he's on the floor on Saturday, because I would really like to get that game off the Pacers, who, by the way, lost tonight. So that's pretty nice. But anyway, yeah, and then just moving forward, we drove this point home so much earlier. It's been driven home by everybody who has talked about this trade. The Knicks remain as ripe for a potential big move, quote unquote, big move, as anyone in the league.